This Thanksgiving, a 100-year-old World War II veteran from right here in the Midlands is reflecting on his experience in one of the deadliest battles in American history, the Battle of the Bulge. He says each day since has truly been something to be thankful for. Our Greg Adeline shares his story.
In love and war, victory is achieved by those who fight for what matters most. For Vernon Brantley, in 1944, newly married and enlisted to serve his country in World War II, he soon found that his new wife, Doris, was up for the challenge. The night before he deployed to Europe, she knew that she had to be with him at the base, Camp Breckinridge, at any cost.
She came to the gate in a cab at night.
To hear him describe it, the scene played out like a Hollywood film.
And the guard stopped the cab, and as the cab driver was talking to the MP, she got out of the cab on the opposite side of the vehicle, threw a $10 bill on the seat, and ran into Camp Breckinridge.
A final night together.
She went AWOL in reverse, but anyhow, she came to the chapel, and we spent the last night in the chapel, and I wrote a prayer.
80 years later, he still reads the prayer he wrote that night. A prayer for safety, for protection in a dangerous and uncertain future. Because even though they had an idea of what awaited Vernon overseas, they could have never fully known. That Christmas, Brantley and thousands of others would face the snowy terrain of Belgium's Ardennes forest in one of the most consequential battles in American history, the Battle of the Bulge.
We had no maps or anything else. The instructions were, you go up that road, how far you go up that road, so you'll know they'll be shooting at you. So and they did. They really did.
Vernon says he never fired a weapon at anyone. Instead, he drove a Jeep carrying supplies and the wounded. The fighting was intense in the bitter winter conditions. American forces staving off the Nazi advance.
Hitler wanted Bastogne. That was a trophy that he wanted for himself.
But what Hitler did not count on, Vernon says, was American resistance.
They came around Bastogne and they ran into us.
The battle raged on. During one of his missions in the Jeep, Vernon came chillingly close to death's doorstep with a single blast.
The snow and the sand and the concussion flipped the Jeep sideways, and the guys on the inside, it tumbled them out, but I was holding onto the steering wheel, and I was caught under the Jeep. They put me straight on a gurney when they finally got, but then I'm sitting there, laying there, drowning in my own blood.
Somehow, he survived, with the love of his bride from afar, an angel on his shoulder, and a letter she wrote him on the front lines.
And I wore it inside my helmet liner.
He soon found out others were not so lucky.
When I got back to my unit, they said, well, look, while you were gone, Lieutenant Weekly and Charlie Cooper, the guy that replaced you, were both killed by a strafing airplane.
And yet, despite the losses and the high cost of sacrifice, the Americans prevailed, turning the Nazis back at Bastogne.
And when they went back, they ran into a bunch of mines that we had put out, and that was the end of their story. I mean, the war wasn't over, but that was the point of the spear.
The realization of what U.S. forces accomplished brings humility.
Truthfully, I never considered myself a hero, but I sure did work with a bunch of them, and I had the honor to be with a bunch of them that were heroes. I don't know, I feel guilty in a sense of the word. I think of all my friends that are gone. Some of them left early.
Those losses paying the high cost of lasting peace.
I'm not a good warrior, as you can see. If you get this old, you want everybody to be smiling and happy, and I won't call it the golden years, but it's a blessing just to be here, and I do thank everybody for all they've done for me to get me here.
Getting here to 100 years old, you could say that Vernon's prayer in the chapel all those years ago was answered. Because looking back, though Doris passed in 2014, Their marriage and their love lasted a lifetime.
70 years, 2 months and 4 days.
For Vernon Brantley, a love and a nation to be thankful for. A love and a nation worth fighting for.